What's up, guys? So I have been known on a handful of occasions on this channel for speaking negatively or kind of reminiscent of misogynistically about my kind, about women. What I want to discuss today, hopefully, will help clarify what are some of the things that I mean when I become critical of those members of the community that I am a part of. For starters, the one thing that I want to emphasize is that I'm going to be focusing primarily on the kinds of behaviors that I see online. And outside of here, I may reserve that for another video if I have something that I consider may be substantial to add to something that maybe I have already said. But today's topic is pretty much about women's presence online, especially content creators. And I'm not doing this in hopes that you guys agree with me. I don't care how you take this. I don't care how you look at it. This is all about being my opinion, because on my channel, it's about me, whether you like it or not. So if you're not here for that, then I suggest that you do what y'all always do after the 30-second mark of my videos, and that is leave. Trust me, I'm not gonna miss you. I'm gonna be okay. So with female content creators, there seems to be a controversy that takes place when it comes to their channels at some point, and it has to do with places like YouTube and Twitch being contaminated by a specific kind of content that for some reason, when that topic explodes, people try to come to their defense, but I think that the way they come to the defense dismisses the point of what led to the controversy in the first place. So on YouTube and Twitch, let's talk about YouTube. YouTube, the way I have associated YouTube since my time here, which my very first time ever using YouTube at all, whether with an account or without an account, it was in the year 2006 or 2007. I think it was late 2006 and early 2007. That's the earliest memory that I have about me legitimately being on youtube.com. It was really retro looking, and I went in there specifically to look up things that I had missed out on before, certain Dragon Ball Z episodes. Maybe I was playing a game back in the day that I was stuck at a level and I needed help, maybe a guide how to play it, or video game music, because I don't necessarily want to have my TV on with the console on and place the game on pause so that the music keeps playing in the background if I'm lucky, because there are some games that when you hit pause, the music ceases along with it. Now, there had been some games that had a menu in which you could access the soundtrack, but again, I don't want to have the TV on for that. My earliest memory of a game that could do that is Star Fox 64. You could go to the literal soundtrack and just let it play. Again, don't want to do that. It's impractical. TV sound quality isn't always the greatest. What does that tell you? I come to YouTube looking for that kind of content that is diverse, but it falls within a certain range. Particularly, it is a place acceptable for individuals who are 13 years old and up, which it doesn't necessarily mean that there's going to be adult content, but at least if you run into it, you have to go out of your way to look for it. And it usually has a little bit of a filter. It's not like you're going to see legitimate bodily action, bodily exposure going on. Maybe a topic is mature, but it doesn't feature the actual visuals that are mature in nature. Twitch is a place that I'm never really at. I've honestly been there maybe a handful of times, and it's honestly to support a friend of mine who has an account that he's trying to grow, and the way it works is he needs to have like maybe 3 people tuned in at the same time to be able to get into their partner program, I think. I sincerely don't know. I just know that he needed presence. So occasionally I would drop in there, to fuck shit up and mess around. Outside of that, I'm personally never actually going to twitch.com to look up either a creator or content, because all of my content needs are satisfied by YouTube. And you guys know me, I'm an extremely simple person. I don't like to be juggling too many things, too many accounts. So I only limit myself to actively managing YouTube, Twitter, my email. That's about it. It's me being organized. That's just what's practical for my brain, because the moment I start creating more accounts, that means one is going to be neglected, and I don't like to be the kind of person who has things spread out everywhere. I like for everything to be put together. I look at it like my journals. All of my journals are physically in notebooks that I keep together. It's not I keep one notebook here, another one in the living room, another one in my car, nothing like that. We're all together in this. So that's kind of how I look at social media. Now, my criticism about women is getting ready to start. So I had to give you that preamble to put out my thought a little better, a little more clearly, and easier to follow and easier to decode my intention. These websites that I just described tend to be intended for very simple purposes. 13 plus, no adult content. Why is it that creators, especially women, tend to try to push the limits of what those terms of service statutes mean? And I know why it is. We all know what it is. Doing that type of thing sells. It makes you money. You have an impressionable audience, especially these people. This is the most disturbing part to me from what they share about their analytics. It seems to be that these are individuals who are younger people, even children in some cases, like under the age of 17, because these are actually the folks I would expect to have time on their hands to be present on someone's page all day long. But at the same time, this is where the creator comes in. You know what the terms of service for these websites that you participate in are. If you want to produce legit, mature content, go to a website designed, intended for, known for that type of thing. Let your audience do the legwork to be like, this creator who I watch, since I'm freaking dirty-minded, I'm actually curious about their bodies. Let me look it up in the websites designed for that to find it. But it used to be that you had to do the work pretty much to stumble upon content like that. But nowadays, it is very easy to find it everywhere that you go. Now, a little something about me is that when I go online into websites like this, the last thing in my mind, the last thing I want to see is content like what I just described, the mature content. And especially coming from women, because women gross me the fuck out. If I'm not here looking for that, why am I seeing it on this website that's not designed for that kind of content? That is where my annoyance comes from. That's where I feel peeved being at this place. Because I remember a time when I could come to this website and I had to actually maybe innocently type something that maybe someone mentioned in school, and maybe, oh, okay, it has like dirty origins or something like that. But now it's like, at some point, if you're dealing with a female creator, more than likely you can expect that at some point it's going to turn into that. They're wearing stuff that's provocative. And you know that their audience are not going to be able to contain themselves and bribe them using literal money and go like, I'll pay you so and so if you do this and that for me. Like if you bounce your tits or something, even with clothes on, I will pay you $1,000. And I'm like, I'm mad at both people. I'm mad at the person who's doing the offering for tempting the creator, but I'm also mad at the creator for being tempted into such things anyway, for being that impressionable. And on top of that, the consequences that that's gonna have. At some point after that, after you have given in to something like that, if something happens to you, do you think that you're truly innocent? Do you think that you have a right to feel like you're a victim of something when this is the thing that you perpetuated upon yourself? That's what I'm saying. That's the point that I'm trying to make. Being more conservative, being more reserved in those areas, I don't see why you see that as a negative thing. Why do you need to have the validation of a huge group of people, a massive number of people commenting on yourself, commenting on your body, things like that? Why can you not develop your image in a different way? Oh, because progressing and growing is slow when you do things right, isn't it? Maybe it is designed to be difficult for a reason, but now everybody is blowing up, having all this money and shit that you can't handle, and then somehow you come out and you start saying that you're a victim of a system that did not help you, what is it, stay sane and manage yourself properly and all that shit. Like, no. You can only be a victim of so much. And there's some stuff that I consider preventable. And I think that, again, that to me tells me that you have more of an issue with accountability more than anything else. So, again, if you want to be that kind of content creator, go to a website and stay on a website that does that type of thing. If that is the way that your membrane up here is designed. But if you're outside of those sites, such as your YouTubes and your Twitches, you don't do that type of thing. Resist the urge and actually comply with the TOS of these places. Actually wear clothes that cover you up. Be happy with that, be comfortable with that, as opposed to attacking places saying you cannot handle the female body, or you are an incel or a femcel, or this, that, and the other, whatever that means. No, not everywhere is interested in seeing that kind of material that you possess. Not everywhere wants to see your body. You know I don't. And why do we have to succumb to you when what you want to do, which is tempt people in those ways, there are places designed for that. In the same manner that you have places that are designed for certain people, like your bathrooms. They are, segregated for some reason. Men have their stuff and female have their stuff. Why would you want to pollute online spaces like that? There are places that are for clean content and there's places that are for dirty content. And the biggest issue that I have with everything that I have just mentioned is that we are very, very often not given the heads up that the content is going to end up being headed in that direction. The only way you would know is if you already know this creator from a long time or something. But who knows, maybe today is the day that switches on them and they start doing that mess. A lot of these channels do not have a content warning because this is a website that expects for you to not engage in such activities, and therefore they're not going to give you the option of placing a warning about that kind of content being present here anyway. And on YouTube, at least, it's not like you can completely get by with being completely exposed here, but I'm talking about the things that push that transition between, okay, this is still clean content, and no, this is transitioning into dirtier, bad, worse content. That's what I'm saying. You're doing that because you know you can get away with it. But how about if you don't try to push the limits in the first place? How about if you want to push the limits or exceed the limits, go to the places that welcome that. If that's the reputation that you want to have for yourself, that's the cost. That's the price that you have to pay. But for the rest of us who actually wish to have a clean and healthy online experience, the reason I phrase it as healthy is because, again, if I'm in public, I shouldn't have to be worried about any surprise content that may just pop up on my screen and I couldn't catch it on time or I couldn't help it. And I don't care particularly about people around me think who may peek at my screen and catch a glimpse of that. It's just that, again, I'm a responsible person and I don't like to give people the means to try to imagine things, because you people know I've made videos about this in which I say when people go, I didn't know, people don't take the initiative. People like to draw the worst conclusion first and ask questions later, as opposed to try to not draw any conclusions because you're bad, horrible. You don't have the skill to do such a thing in a productive manner. How about if you just see something and you're like, I might have questions. Invite the person into explaining themselves, explaining what's happening, and then you'll realize that it's not as bad as the conclusion that you were arriving to on your own. Because unfortunately, your mind is not being helped in that department. Your mind is not being taken care of by anybody. And I think that not even yourself can possess the proper strength sometimes from how fatigued and wiped out you are to sit down and think about what these things can actually lead to, what the consequences of these things actually are. And that shouldn't really be your responsibility. We should all be here trying to be good and take care of each other as best as possible. But sometimes that's just not the priority, because some people are more concerned about making money. That's what I'm saying. That's the element of, in this case, what I'm illustrating about female creators, that I like to criticize. Because we all love to go like, you go girl, congrats, you're doing great, honey, when they're making the money and you see them growing and becoming prosperous and owning shit and all that. But are you wondering about how they got there? What were the methods to get there? Did you actually get there because you genuinely put in proper effort, or did you get there because you sold yourself in a way that you necessarily would not be proud of ultimately once you discover what this actually does to you? So yeah, you guys, that's pretty much all I'm trying to say. I'm not doing this to get you to agree or see things my way or whatever. It's maybe this is a different take, because I'm all for women being out here chasing their dreams and doing whatever it is that they want. And if they can do a job that doesn't kill them physically, then good for them. I would do anything to be able to leave my retail job, especially with the pains that I'm experiencing because of that place that I've been sharing with you guys, and eventually I may share even more. Like, yeah, it sucks to go out there and make very little money even though you're putting in a lot of effort, especially serving people who are pretty thankless. I get it. But at the same time, I would rather do that and at least not have to worry about my mental health than earning a ton of money very quick, exploiting myself until the clock says, all right, Zam, you're too old for this. Now you're officially gross to be doing this. So stop being, a clown. And then, whoops, the way that I knew how to make money is no longer viable, and now I actually have to step out into the real world and be something, and now I have nothing to offer. Oh, what's my next option? Killing myself? Like, does that make sense? Does it make sense to you? No, it doesn't, right? That's the way I interpret some of the folks that I see online. Sometimes you'll be creating this type of content. It somehow at some point has a detriment on your health, and somehow you don't take responsibility for it. You're the one who put yourself in this position. You. Nobody else did. You did. But now we are supposed to believe that you are a victim of something, of pressure. And what pressure? Again, you did this to yourself. But again, that's the part where I especially don't expect people to agree with me or see it the way I see it. I think that what helps me with seeing it that way is my organization, my mental organization. This place, this website, not intended for that. We're not doing that. There are sites out there intended for that do that. Go over there and do that. Other places like Twitch, they're known for gaming. When I heard of Twitch for the first time in my life, I was told, oh, this is primarily for gamers. So if you're not into that type of thing, then maybe this isn't the site for you. And I said, oh, okay. I never really watch gaming content, maybe once every couple of years. If a game comes out that I know I'm not going to play, like Zelda, then sure. But even then, I will go to YouTube before I go on Twitch. That's just the way that I roll. I'm a YouTube chick. So there you guys have it. Thank you so much for tuning in. Again, this is one of those topics that I expect to be a massive divide, or maybe you guys will actually understand where I'm coming from, even if you don't agree with it. That's all I care about. Just understand my point, respect it whether you like it or not, and then tell me your point, and I'll consider it from your perspective, because it's very possible that because I'm a very simple person at my core, there's some stuff that I won't be as open about thinking about it deeper than I like to go with most of my topics. So feel free to leave your thoughts. Can't wait to read them. And I'll see you on the next one.